Okay, this is going to be hopefully a short video showing how I make my pizza dough. I use Pizza app. You can have it on you can download it on iPhone or Android, and here pretty much you can put how many pizzas you want to make, roughly like what size of bowl, weight, what weight of the pizza bowl you want to have, how much water. Usually like between 60 and 63% is a standard that works really well. I use 62%. 3% of salt, it's always what you should use for pizza dough. And then those two things actually are how long you're gonna leave in room temperature. And this is something I use because I like to leave my dough overnight in the fridge. If you want to add that option, it's in the settings, I think, and you need to tick that, like it's a cold temperature. So like I'll be making 12 balls, and I like, just because it's evening, I gonna leave it in the fridge for 12 hours, and then after that I gonna make a balls and live for another 6 hours in room temperature. And those things are pretty important as well. You need to like, depending what temperature is in your house, you can change that, and it works really well, especially for like for amount of yeast, because you know, salt is pretty much always the same, flour and water, depending how many percent of water you want to put. But yeast, it's actually sorry for yeah, the yeast is, the amount of yeast is something that is changing depending how many hours you're gonna leave it out. So I use fresh yeast. That's a shortcut for a fresh yeast. You can use dry yeast as well. They work well, but the fresh one are a bit easier to work with. Like you getting same consistency and similar results every time. So I prefer using fresh yeast. So that's the all ingredients I need to put to make 12 balls. Yeah, and what I always do, like I have my water measured here, and you put salt into the water first. Yeah, and once the salt is dissolved, you can I put that in the bigger container so I can mix the dough inside here. And what you do next is put small amount of flour into that container as well. Just to don't mix the yeast with salt and water, because it doesn't work. Like the salt sometimes can kill yeast and kind of change the fermentation or something like that. So it's nice to put some amount of flour into that mix. Then you can add yeast, and you can kind of break it in your hands. Yeah, cool. And now you can slowly add the rest of the flour. And what I actually do, and it's easier to mix, like even if I make like 12 or even 20 pizzas by hand, I don't put the whole amount of flour into the container until like very end. So it's much easier to mix because the dough is much more wet, and you know, way easier to mix with your hands. And I have still some flour left, but the dough's still nice and easy to mix. So at this point I take it out of the container. You can you know, to clean the container, or just take all the dough. You can put some flour and it's easy to take out. And I'm mixing on the table. If you add all the flour in the one time, it'll be just a bit like, it's still okay, you know, but it's just a bit harder to mix. And now it's nice and soft, and you won't get tired. And you can, like, if your hands are sticky, you can clean your hands with flour, and it's easy to get rid of that sticky dough. Oh. It's good to, like, mix the dough for at least like 10-15 minutes. And yeah, I'm putting the rest of the flour here. Now the dough is now in the one shape. There's no extra flour, and you're gonna need that for another few minutes until it'll be more smooth. But another thing I actually do, and it's especially if you're mixing by hands, it's much easier. So, like, probably at this point, once everything is well mixed, I'm gonna leave that for 15-20 minutes. Cover either with, like, the container or tin foil or cling film. And after 15-20 minutes, I'm gonna knead that for another few minutes, and it's gonna be much more smoother. So now it looks like, I don't know if the camera can see that. Yeah. So yeah, now after about 15-20 minutes, you can see the dough. It's much smoother. And I'm gonna mix it for another few minutes, or not even like a minute, just to, like, you can notice that the dough will be much smoother. What I'm trying to do now is just to kind of make very tight ball. And you can see the dough, it's very smooth on over here. And now what I do, I put that back in the container. I close it and I put it overnight in the fridge. And tomorrow I will take it out, make a balls, and then wait for another few hours. Now, so this is the next day dough. So I left that dough in the fridge for, I don't know, 12 hours, something like that. Then I took it out in the morning for about an hour, just to kind of get, it won't get to the room temperature, but it's just nicer to work with when you leave it for just an hour or so. So what I do, I now make balls. My pizza balls are size about 250 grams. And the easiest way probably to explain how to make a ball, I don't know if you can see that. So you basically need to kind of stretch it like that, and then stretch it again. Make sure you don't kind of tear that gluten, you know, because it won't work nice when you then make a pizza. So basically doing something like this, and then from the other side, and one more time, until you have really nice and tight ball. And then you squeeze that end to close it. And then you can roll it on the table. And I put my pizza balls in the container with the flour, and then I cover for another like 6 hours. And I was explaining, like I do cold temp proof for like 12 hours or something, even a day, or maybe 2. It's actually, if you keep the pizza dough for longer than a day, the taste is much nicer. It won't change much of the, you know, the texture and the way pizza looks, but it's actually much, like the flavor is much richer, if that makes sense. You can, like in that pizza app I show you, can change, like if you want to make a pizza in 4 hours, you just need to add more yeast. But the best, like I found and works for me really good, is to make at least a day before. And you can either keep it in the fridge for a night and then another few hours in the room temperature. Some people do like 24 hours room temperature, then you just need to put a very little amount of yeast. But you can tweak all the settings, all the amount of yeast, or you know, the ingredients in that app, and it works pretty well actually. So so basically stretch it once, then again from the other side, so just turn it, stretch it, and like that. And then And another way of doing this as well is maybe kind of rolling the dough like that, and then turn it, and then rolling back again, just to kind of make it tighter. And it looks like that. And then you just close that part. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So like I have full container of my balls, and what I do, I put tiny bit of flour on top, and cover it. Okay, so I have my pizza dough ready. And again, like time and temperature is like an ingredient, because like you only put like flour, water, salt and yeast to a Neapolitan pizza dough, but time and temperature around is very important. Like you can't put the same amount of yeast every time, depending, like if you do pizza in the winter time, I guess you probably might use a bit more yeast. If it's summer, then you use a bit less. You just kind of figure it out as you go. But yeah, this is gonna be ready in about 6 hours, and then you're good to go. Thanks.